Hey everybody, David Bauders, CEO of Trade Hounds, and I'm here today with Jack Bellissimo and Chris Marlow. They're both SVPs at ABB. Jack is SVP of Product and Chris is SVP of Sales. Welcome, guys.
David,
Thank you,
thanks for having
David.
us.
Nice to spend time with you. Here we are at NAED National. Can you tell us a little bit about what brought you guys here, what you're trying to accomplish, and how's it going?
Sure. So, we're with ABB, Installation Products Division, but your clients or customers will know us as Thomas & Betts.
Okay.
So we're one of the leading manufacturers of electrical products in the industry. Our brands, we have 31 brands in the United States that we sell, most notably is like Steel City, metal boxes, Carlon plastic boxes, Super Strut, tie wrap, Team B liquid type fittings, and so we serve basically wherever the power goes in a building or a home, you'll find one of our products connecting that there.
Absolutely. And what are some of the trends that you're seeing here this year in terms of what you're trying to accomplish with your partners? Tell us a little bit about that.
I would say we're really looking at connecting. There's a lot going on with tariffs. There's a lot going on in the industry. So a lot of questions about that, but also just in general, what new products do we have? What new trends in construction? A lot around the data center markets, a lot around building and construction trends, and how can we help better serve our channel partners, contractors, and end users alike.
Well, we know there's quite a bit of innovation going on in this industry. In addition to all the product innovation, there's also demographic shifts going on. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges for manufacturers socializing new products with all the demographic shift?
Yeah, so Thomas & Betts has been known for innovation in the industry for a long time, and we are continually focused on that. What we work on now is trying to figure out how do we bring time savings and labor savings to our contractors, electricians in the market. There's a skill deficit and a trade deficit right now going on. A lot of our skilled workers are exiting the workforce, and there's just not enough folks behind them to come in. And so ABB, we're really trying to work hard with the trade schools, high schools, early education to try to help show them that there is a career both in the electrician side of the world, manufacturing, distribution. And so we're really trying to work hard early on to bring that in. And then for the folks that are already in the industry, the products that my team and our teams develop, try to bring those great labor savings and cost savings to them so that way you can get more jobs done quicker and easier, right?
Yeah, productivity is obviously key. We have estimated half of electricians will retire in the next 5 to 10 years.
Incredible.
And that's before you add in all of the needs for expanded investment in infrastructure and grid and all of the other draws of new capacity or new labor supply. If you think about the knowledge transfer challenge, though, that's a dimension that often gets overlooked. Every time a new worker enters the workforce, we have to not only bring them up to speed in terms of the work that they're doing, they also have to learn about all the new products. They have to learn about how to install them. They have to learn how to do it efficiently. Talk a little bit about how you can help your customers to be accomplishing this knowledge transfer challenge.
Yeah, well, not only, you're exactly right. The knowledge transfer is huge, but not only are we coming out with new products that are easier to use, but I feel that our field sales team, as well as our agent force, are trained in our own facilities on how to better use our products, not only the way that they've always been used, but more efficient, more, I would say, more effective ways. And that knowledge transfer is then applied to the field. And then, it works down from there. But we also have a training center as well, where we like to bring our partners in and train in-house and show exactly how the product was intended to be used, which was safely and efficiently.
And I think the other thing to build on what Chris is talking about here, and his team does a great job of helping to facilitate this, but we think about, we have to train two ends of the market. We have to help train our channel partners because we have a lot of inside sales folks and outside sales folks that maybe aren't familiar with all the different brands and different part numbers we have. And so we have what we call our mobile truck solution. And so we bring out our high-end, high-running parts on top, basically on a truck, and it's interactive. Chris's team helps facilitate lunch and learn, so we bring the truck on site so we can bring a bunch of contractors out at one time, do a really great tour. They can all be hands-on. We'd love to invite you out to one of the events sometime. You guys can see it firsthand and what it looks like. But Chris's team does a great job of helping to get, because with our products, you have to really touch it and feel it. And so the other thing that we work on really closely is having the team install their own products, and you find that there's complexities that don't need to be there. The instructions are not great, they're hard to install sometimes, and so we're really working on getting that feedback from Chris's organization back to my team and really at the end of the day, is for the person that's installing it every day. And that's what we're really focused on.
That's very interesting because a lot of the shift in this new generation of workers is away from what we'd call structured learning or curriculum-based learning in favor of more just-in-time micro-learning. And in particular, we're seeing a real demand for content that is user-generated. We've got over 400,000 users, about half of them are in the MEP space, and we can start to maybe take some of that content and really syndicate it across our platform. Every time you do a lunch and learns are great. Like you said, there's a lot of hands-on that's necessary for for it to really sink in. But there's always going to be the people who didn't make it to the lunch and learn. There's going to be the people who went and then forgot what they saw, or things come and go. We have this concept called the forgetting curve, where people within 30 days forget about half of what they've learned without some kind of reinforcement. But if we can start to make that content available on demand in a native app, that's where the digital natives really live these days, is in the app.
And I think about all the time, like, how do I get this TikTok style videos in of a quick installation of a product or a new update? Because again, we have over 100,000 unique part numbers, 31 brands, hundreds of product lines. There's no way that every electrician knows what's out there. But having a platform like you described could allow somebody to do a quick search what they're looking for, one of their peers installing it, and then maybe someone on your team can help show, how it's connected together as well.
And then another great thing about Trade Hounds, not to toot our own horn, but we do have the ability to do a lot of research for brands to help them understand, who's installing these products, where are they seeing productivity gains, where are they seeing opportunities to improve, really getting that authentic peer type of review, I think, is super important.
Someone that truly can demonstrate how the product was intended to be used, or install it in quicker ways or safer ways that's very efficient, but just done right. Maybe they don't have to be the megastar, but just to teach someone how to do it quickly and the way that the product was intended to be used, and give you that aha moment.
And it might be that you start hiring for these positions based on their presence on camera, for example.
Right.
Instead of just hiring them for having the gift of the gab and a charming personality.
Sure.
Can they be comfortable on camera? They don't have to be an entertainer, but they do have to be communicate clearly, all of that sort of thing. One of the challenges you talked about that I find particularly interesting is this whole front lines of distribution challenge. Again, there's a big demographic wave coming, not only with customers but also with channel partners.
Right.
And so how do we start to onboard all of them into new products, and as the pace of innovation continues, a lot of it's the same challenges. One of the things we're doing at Trade Hounds that I think could be interesting for manufacturers is we're creating associate accounts now. So the CSRs of distributors, the OSRs, those folks can start to be on the platform as well. So it might give you, more of a single platform for you to syndicate content.
Yeah, and I would like to add that we just hosted at our corporate facility last week, in fact, a large distributor. Many of their people came to learn and train on the front lines, as Jack mentioned earlier, went through our training session. But to your point, there's so many that can't come, and they can't. So how do we syndicate that or replicate that material, or perhaps even stream on the platform, the top takeaways from that, so it can be easily transferred to the field?
Right. And one of the things we're doing at Trade Hounds is AI-based product search. So when people are searching for product, they'll, they can either take a picture of it or natural language, speak what it is that they need. We'll be able to tie that content back to that search activity and be able to feed it to them just in time. And I think that's really where this content, reaches its full potential, is when it gets tied to the moment of need.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So tell us a little bit about, what's next on the product front. Where do you see the most innovation coming, and what should we expect?
Most of our meetings this week have been mainly on the commercial industrial side, but we have another part of our business, that's pretty significant size on the utility. So just as you get from the substation to the building, we have a medium voltage switchgear business, cable accessories. So we're really focused on the grid hardening and grid resiliency trends that are going on in the market as well. And so Chris and I are constantly thinking about, how do we help the utilities, the independently owned utility companies or municipalities or co-ops, be able to meet the demands of the grid, right? And so more and more demand is being put on the grid now than ever before. Everyone wakes up in the morning and unplugs their EV cars. They come in home at 5 o'clock, and the grid was never designed to accept that much power coming in at that point. And then we think about the resiliency of the grid. So we have a storm or a tornado like we just had recently. How quick does that grid recover? And so our Elastimil brand, which is what we sell under for the utility business, is mainly focused on bringing the utility power lines underground. And so when we can do more underground utility work, we have both grid hardening because the grid doesn't get displaced, and then resiliency, we can recover quicker from when the grid is impacted. And so part of our product teams are focused on how do we do better work there with the utility companies. And then the commercial industrial side, the feedback has been pretty much like, I want less part numbers, I want I want products that are safe, high quality, but they're also accessible to me. And so what Chris's team has done a great job of, and I'll let him talk about it in a second, is we really work with our channel partners to find those opportunities, help get the spec position done, and then walk that back through their business to the end user. Because ultimately, if we're not driving that business with our channel partners, there's no point in me having any products sitting in the shelf collecting dust. Right, Chris? But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think right now, not only with our offer, what we've seen is tremendous growth, as Jack was talking about, to undergrounding, to honestly smarter grids, smarter power, and truly, we want to be the partner from meter to socket, as we say. So how can we provide the whole value chain of products, but also educating those partners and then taking that education to not only the utilities, but now a lot of the EPCs that are doing work for utilities and educating about the new products, the safety of the products that we offer, and then also the expansions that we've done. Perhaps you've seen recently we announced a large expansion in Albuquerque at our utility plant, and so we're going to have a lot of additional capacity coming online to be ready to serve the utility industry for the next several years.
And I think too, a lot of people think manufacturing is this kind of aged, sometimes older industry, which it definitely is. But when I look at the investments that ABB is doing in the United States, I mean, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars over the last decade that we've invested back in America, in our own factories, in our people, in our trainings. And for us, and it's all about efficiencies, right? So one of our facilities is almost fully automated with robots, right? And so it's really interesting as a new person coming into the industry. If you're into coding, you're into robotics, things like that, you can be in manufacturing and bring a huge value. I have a full data analytics team that spends all their time looking at data, analytics, analysis, and then bringing really good insights to the sales team. So you can bring some of these trades you see generally in high tech in manufacturing, but your career can be exponentially faster because there's just not as many people doing that work here. So if you're somewhat good at that work, you come into a manufacturing company. I mean, Chris, would you agree that someone that can really crunch through data and understand Power BI, SAP,
Absolutely.
they're going to do really well here and have a great career.
So as you guys are experiencing tariffs, what's the impact that you see coming for ABB and its channel?
Majority of our factories are based in the United States. I would say our impact is somewhat minimal compared to some of our other folks in the industry.
Yeah, I would just add that ABB is very fortunate to produce a lot in region for region, which has been very effective for us.
Yeah, I think it's a best practice now to consider supply chain vulnerability and to plan for proximity. One of the things that our users tell us is that the most important problem they want to solve is how do they find their product quickly at the point of need. So, geolocation, how close is it to where I need it? Where is it in stock? Can you talk about how we can improve visibility for end customers into in-stock availability with supply chain?
So I would say that ABB has done some things, or we've done a lot of things, in fact, to really provide information and where the product can be found or located. But we rely heavily on our supply chain, our distribution partners, to provide that, and they're doing a great job in promoting geofencing, targeting customers in the field. We have the product here, we're ready to deliver today, and that's really what we're all about with our channel partners.
Yeah, one of the things we're doing with the Trade Hounds app is we're building in our supply house maps. So now a user of the app can basically take a picture, say what kind of product they need, type it in, search a catalog, but the end state of that is we plug directly into all of the distributors' ERP systems and show where is that available right now. And what our users have been telling us is they don't like having to go to 5 different distributors' websites, have 5 different logins, passwords. go through 5 different navigation experiences just to get to a basic piece of information. So what we're trying to do now is basically simplify it so all distributors can be plugged into a single platform.
Right.
Yeah, and I think too, like we have to remember that there are also consumers outside of being electricians or contractors, right? And so they're used to having a consumer-friendly environment to work in, right? And so the more that we can help bring what they're used to using, just going on Amazon or other e-commerce platform and being able to quickly search what they need and order it and deliver it to them, how does the distributors also supply that? Because obviously everything that can't be shipped online, right? You're talking about huge pieces of strut or PVC coated pipe. You obviously not going to order that online, but it's just that convenience piece of it. I think you're talking about, David. That how do you help simplify that? And it's great to hear that you're working with the distributors on that.
Yeah, what we're seeing now is manufacturers want to be able to run end-to-end campaigns. So basically they want to be able to build awareness with end customers around new product innovation, productivity, all the things we talked about earlier. They need the skilled tradespeople at the street level to know about those products, know how to install those products. They need to be able to get the employers of those skilled tradespeople, building them into how they do work, the project submittals, all of that. And then you need the distributors to be able to sell those products, support those products, so that entire ecosystem has to be strung together. It has to be integrated. And so what we're trying to do with Trade Hounds is make it possible for both the digital transactions, but also for all the communication, because at the end of the day, these aren't widgets like you have on Amazon. There's a lot of complexity in this business. You have to have conversation. So we're trying to create that more integrated channel experience, end to end.
Right.
That's great.
I want to thank you guys for getting together. It's been great to learn about everything great ABB is doing, and look forward to working in the future.
Thanks for having us. We were happy to be here.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.